hundreds of people are reported missing in national parks and forests, many of them children, and most are eventually found whether dead or alive.
That don't make sense, that happen to cluster together in 3 to 4, sometimes as many as 20, 30 people missing at one time.
Yosemite National Park is a vast, unspoiled wilderness with over 750 miles of trails, making it a hiker's dream. But it can quickly become a search and rescue nightmare when someone goes missing. For those that don't know, Yosemite is the second largest park in the entire country, receiving around 5 million visitors every single year. While Yosemite is magnificent in all of its natural splendor, there is something else there, something hidden, something dark that they don't want you to know about. The people who went missing did not simply get lost, eaten by bears, or die naturally while visiting the park. These people simply vanished into thin air. No evidence of them has ever been found, not at the time of their disappearances, not in the time that has passed since. And in some cases, that means no evidence after decades. To further add to this Yosemite mystery, most of the victims were experienced hikers and outdoor sports enthusiasts. Some were also quite familiar with the terrain. In many cases, they were traveling on well-used hiking trails. So just what is going on in the park? And what's behind all these strange disappearances and sightings? Stick around till the end to know all about the secrets of Yosemite National Park. Yosemite National Park is notorious for having the third highest number of missing people each year. The more you explore Yosemite National Park, the stranger the details become. Yosemite, like most national parks, has a history of strange sightings, experiences, and legends. Hundreds of missing children is one of the most fascinating and disturbing of these stories. The nearly supernatural circumstances surrounding the disappearances make this one of the most mysterious in the history of a revered national park. David Paulides, a retired police officer, published a book titled Missing 411, Western United States and Canada, Unexplained Disappearances of North Americans That Have Never Been Solved in February 2013. Paulides spent 4 years and 9,000 hours investigating missing persons after being tipped off by a park ranger. The mysterious disappearances involved both adults and children, with the disappearances sometimes taking place in broad daylight in the presence of friends and family. One of his research's most important findings is the discovery of geographical clusters of missing people, including groups of children who vanished without a trace from Yosemite National Park. All of the disappearances shared unusual details that surprised veteran investigators and left Paulides with unanswered questions. Unexpected patterns emerged after reviewing hundreds of cases. Here are a few examples of those patterns. The majority of the missing children were under the age of 10. There were no signs of struggle. Trained tracking dogs were unable to locate or follow the scent of the missing children. And if the dogs did locate a scent, the trail always led up a mountain. The missing children being young is no surprise. Curious kids love exploring, easily get lost, and make small prey for predators of both the human and animal variety. Since there were no signs of a struggle, Paulides concluded that either no abduction occurred or that the abductors surprised the children. Weather patterns could sometimes explain why tracking dogs couldn't find a scent. However, it did not appear that the weather was always a factor. And why would the missing kids climb a mountain? One of the most perplexing aspects of the missing children case is the location of many survivors, far outside established search perimeters. In an interview with Chron 4 News in San Francisco, Paulides explained it this way. Sometimes these kids I write about are found, like a 2 or 3-year-old are found 10 to 15 miles from the point they were last seen, or they're found 5,000 feet higher in elevation than when they disappeared. And as a parent, you'll know, my kid wasn't going to make that distance in this amount of time or climb that elevation in this period of time, so it doesn't make sense. Other survivors are found in areas that have been searched multiple times by large search parties. Some missing children were found on the other side of mountain ranges by searchers. Even seasoned outdoor enthusiasts are baffled as to how these children traveled so far, often in inclement weather and across harsh terrain. It defies rational explanation in every way. Les Stroud, popularly known as Survivor Man, attempted to recreate a child's nighttime journey in one notable missing child case in Oregon. In the middle of the experiment, Les said, I couldn't do this. This isn't right. The kid didn't do this on his own. However, the cases of missing children in Yosemite become even more perplexing. The children who survived tell of friendly bears or big wolves who looked after them. Of course, there are plenty of skeptics of these paranormal theories, but whether you believe them or not, the unsolved cases in America's national parks are enough to make you think twice before packing your bags for a trip. Fortunately, Paulides' work sparked a petition urging national parks to better track missing people. Something certainly needs to change. But these happenings are still happening in the park. On September 6, 2021, Joel Thomason, 31, set out on what he told friends and family would be a 3-day solo hiking trip through Yosemite National Park, taking with him an inflatable kayak for exploring lakes and a hammock, indicating that he expected the trip to be both adventurous and relaxing. When Thomason did not return from the park and make contact with his loved ones on September 9th, rangers were called in, along with search helicopters, search dogs, and water patrols, according to the Associated Press. According to the Turlock Journal, some experts believe he may have decided to extend his journey to a further destination, Cherry Lake, despite not informing his family. He was never found, however. Despite the lack of evidence as to what happened to Thomason, it was announced in November 2021 that a memorial ceremony honoring the hiker's life would be held in his hometown of Denair, California, according to the Turlock Journal, which also reported that Thomason left behind a wife of 7 years and a 2-year-old son at the time of his disappearance. The entire county of Tuolumne joined in the search for him, bringing along equipment, kayaks, and a boat to try and get the approximate perimeter of where he was last seen in the hopes of finding some trace of him. But it's unfortunate that to this day in 2023, there is still no sign of Joel Thomason anywhere. Is it possible that, like many other missing hikers in all of the national parks, he was kidnapped, murdered, or taken by something? Could he have fallen into a crevice or jumped off a cliff? That is very possible, but with all these trained search professionals and outdoor caravans looking for him, they would find some evidence of him. It doesn't make sense that so many of these hikers vanished without a trace, and the track he was on, from Hetchy Hetchy to Lake Eleanor, isn't exactly off the usual path. Indeed, the entire route system within Yosemite National Park is well traveled, with people passing by and arriving and going. So it's not like he just strolled off into the deep woods by himself with no idea where he was going, which makes his disappearance even weirder, just like the many thousands of others who vanished without a trace. Another strange thing about Yosemite National Park is the curse of the Tenaya Canyon. When white settlers arrived in Yosemite Valley, they encountered a peaceful tribe of Native Americans known as the Ahwahnee, who were also known to occasionally steal livestock from their new neighbors. In the 1850s, whites had had enough of sharing the land with the troublesome natives and attempted to relocate the Ahwahnee to a reservation outside of Fresno, California. The normally peaceful Ahwahnee led by Chief Tenaya did not comply as easily as expected, actively and vocally resisting the order to leave. The white settlers eventually sent in a contingent of armed men led by Captain John Bowling to forcibly remove the tribe, and things went about as expected. Instead of fleeing in fear, as was expected of the usually docile natives, the Ahwahnee chose to stand their ground and fight. Chief Tenaya's son was killed in the ensuing violence, sending him into a rage in which he invoked a curse on the valley against the white man. Since then, the chief is said to have been true to his words, and Tenaya Canyon, and by some accounts the entire Yosemite Valley, has been plagued by all manner of freak accidents, strange deaths, mishaps, and unexplained phenomena such as unexplained noises and shadowy apparitions. The Tenaya area is said to have far more incidents of rock climbing and hiking accidents and fatalities than other areas in the park, and so many people have gone missing here that it has earned the ominous nickname, the Bermuda Triangle of Yosemite. Even the legendary naturalist and experienced mountaineer John Muir was not immune to this rumored curse, as he was nearly killed while exploring the canyon in 1873. Of course, given that the terrain at Tenaya Canyon is notorious for being some of the most hostile and forbidding in the entire park, it's not surprising that there have been so many disappearances, deaths, and accidents. Whether or not the canyon is truly cursed, there are certainly a number of allegedly haunted locations in and around Yosemite Park. One of the most notorious is the former Ahwahnee Hotel, which was eerily named after the aforementioned doomed tribe. The Awani Hotel, which opened in 1927, just a short distance from Half Dome, was a big deal at the time because it was a large, luxurious hotel in an area known for mostly camping and small lodges, and its elegant yet rustic organic feel, as well as the majestic grandeur of its scenic surroundings, quickly made it a popular destination for the many tourists who flock to the area each year. It has also gained a reputation for being extremely haunted. What are your thoughts on all these bizarre happenings in the park? Tell us in the comments down below.